Hey y'all, I'm Val with Our Forever Farm, and guess what we're making today? Another freezer item, but of course we're going to sneak into it and eat it today too. So we're making a breakfast item. We're making homemade cinnamon rolls. Now these take a little bit of time. They are so worth it, y'all. Homemade cinnamon rolls. Let's get busy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get 1 cup of milk out. I'm just using skim milk. Use what you have. And we're going to warm it up a little bit. So the easiest way that I found to warm my milk is to put it in the microwave. And I'm going to put it in about 30 seconds. Every microwave is different, so I'm going to put it in about 30 seconds and just see if it's warm enough. You want it where you can put your finger in it and it's like hot. That would be around 105, 110 if you want to check the temperature, but you want it like bath water. That did not do it. 30 seconds did not do it. I've added 15, and I'll probably have to add 15 more seconds to it. Anywhere from 45 to 60 seconds in a regular microwave. You want to get your stand mixer out. Let's see what this has done. That is about it. So I'm going to check it and make sure. Yep. So that's about it. It's about like bath water. So, and I'm going to put it in my stand mixer. And then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast. If all you have is the, what is it? The quick yeast, that's fine too. You can just add it in. It'll be fine. But active dry yeast, you want to proof it. I keep my yeast in the freezer because I buy it in bulk and I want it to stay good and fresh. And when you proof it, you'll know if it's good yeast or not. So now I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. And what that does, it just feeds your yeast. And I'm doing all that in the bottom of this stand mixer. So I've got my dough hook on, but you want to just go ahead and use that tablespoon you're using. That'll be fine. Just stir up your yeast and make sure it's off the sides of the bowl. And we just want it to get really foamy, and that tells us our yeast is active. I really like to have my eggs room temperature, but I just got them out and that'll be fine. You also want to do 6 tablespoons of butter. You can use unsalted if you want to add salt to your mixture, but you have to add salt if you don't use this. I'm using salted butter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 tablespoons of butter. And what we're going to do is melt that in the microwave and just get it really, really soft. Melted, actually. I'm cutting mine in slices where it'll do it quicker. And this just came right out of the refrigerator. I'm just using my measuring cup that I used for the milk. I set that for 20 seconds. We'll see how long it takes. So that actually ended up taking about 30 seconds. And I'm just going to stir this butter because it's not all the way melted with my spoon that had the yeast on it, just in case it has some yeast on it, and we'll make sure that gets in the cinnamon rolls. So that's melted butter, 6 tablespoons, 2 eggs, and now we're going to get half a cup of sugar. So I always keep a cup in here, but this is a half a cup, and I'm just going to measure it out and set it right here on the cutting board. Put that back up. So we're also going to need 1 teaspoon of vanilla flavoring. That's my homemade. That's all I have left. One of the girls told me they had some that they haven't even used of my homemade, so I'm gonna get it from them if they'll let me have it. We've got to make some, I'm telling you, because it takes a while. So what we're waiting on is we're waiting on our yeast to proof, which means to get frothy, to get foamy. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. So this took about 5 minutes just while I was getting everything together. And I've got it in the bottom of my stand mixer, and I have to brag on this. Is that not beautiful? That was my birthday present. If you haven't saw that video, you need to go watch it. My birthday party. That was back in January. But see how it's frothy? See how it's foamy? So I've got my dough hook in, and I'm going to add my melted butter, and I'm going to add it to the yeast. Again, this is salted butter. So if you don't have salted butter and you use just regular unsalted butter, you'll need to add some salt, and I'll tell you how much to do in just a minute. So now I'm going to crack my eggs. It takes 2 eggs. These are right from the hen house. Oh, and I have such a fun surprise. So I've been waiting on one of my hens to get broody. Broody means that she'll sit on eggs and have babies. I don't need babies, but I want babies. I love babies. And I'm putting this in the same measuring cup that I had the milk and the yeast and everything else, the butter. Well, I didn't have the yeast in here. It stayed in the mixing bowl. But I'm so excited. She was on it yesterday, and this morning I went out to gather eggs, and there was only 2, and I usually have 8 to 9. And so I pushed them under there, and she took her little beak and pushed them her under her body. So she is broody. Now, this is her first time, so she could come off the nest. I don't know, but I'm very excited. And that means in about 21 days we'll have babies. So this is my eggs, and I beat my eggs. Let's get all those. This is half a cup of sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now what I did was I added my butter, my eggs, my sugar, and my vanilla to the yeast mixture. And I've got my dough hook on. I'm going to just combine this, just stir it a little bit and combine all this. Just on low. Now this is not kneading, this is just mixing up the eggs, the sugar, the vanilla, the butter, the yeast mixture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 4 cups of flour. It might take 4.5, we'll see. And this is all-purpose flour. Also, now is when you would add your salt if you didn't use salted butter. If you use salted butter, don't use salt. So I'm adding 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll set that aside just in case we need more. Now I'm going to add cinnamon, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon. And what I did is I just dried off my spoon that I did the vanilla with, where I can get 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. We're going to add that. And again, if you did not use salted butter, now is when you'd use 1 teaspoon of salt. But I'm not using it because I use salted butter. And we're going to mix this to combine and see if we need any more flour. We're just going to turn it on low. I am a messy cooker, y'all. So what I'm doing is I'm mixing this together, and I'm going to gradually increase the speed with my dough hook to mix all this up. And it'll be, let's see, I've got it on 2 now. I might possibly go to 3. We'll see what this looks like. And hopefully this is all the flour we'll need. You want to tend to go on less flour, use less flour than more flour. And you might want to stop and scrape the sides down, which I think I'm going to do that. Just with a spatula. I want to get all that flour incorporated into there. And then what we're going to let this knead for just a few minutes. And like I say, we started it on low, and we are going to gradually increase the speed. We're going to let this knead until it forms a small ball. If you think it's not going to form that ball anytime soon, then you want to add like a tablespoon of all-purpose flour at a time. You don't want to add too much. So I'm going to let this knead for about probably 2 or 3 minutes and see what it looks like. So this is what it looks like right now. When it's first started, we started it on low and we increased it to high. Now, I've made these enough to know that this is probably going to need about a tablespoon of flour at least. And so I'm going to sprinkle it in while it's mixing. Whoops. Might want to turn it down. Just about a tablespoon. And I can definitely tell that has helped. So as you can tell, it's got thicker. It's pulling away from the sides a little bit. We may have to add a little bit more flour. So again, I think it needs a little more flour. And the way I measured it, unless you weigh your flour, you really don't know if your measurements are right. So I'm going to add just a little bit more. Get that off the top of that. Hopefully that'll be it. Just start it out slow like we did before. Whoops. Slow like we did before, not fast. Now we're cooking. Can you see the difference? It's pulling off the sides of the bowl. And we're going to let this knead for just a few minutes. We want it to form a ball. Now here's what it looks like. It's pulled away everything from the sides. And then you can turn it up just a little bit more and let it knead some more. Always lock your mixer. We're going to let that knead just a few minutes. As you add little tablespoons of flour at a time to get to this point, you can use up to a half of a cup of all-purpose flour. And you're also going to use some on your board or your island, whatever you use to make your cinnamon rolls. I'm going to let that knead just a few minutes. What kind of dough it ends up being, a sticky, tacky dough, which is going to be a little bit that way anyway. Or if it's going to form a ball really easy. We'll know if we need more flour, but half a cup more is tops. So let's stop it and let's see what our dough looks like. And I'm going to bring it up where hopefully y'all can see this. Move y'all over. and it looks like a really good dough. So I'm going to let it knead maybe 5 more minutes because it is tearing when I pull it and I don't want it to tear. It's been kneading about 7 minutes. So this is the way I want it to look. I want it pulling away from the sides and making a ball around the dough hook. Now we're going to take it out and see what it feels like. So it's been kneading about probably 10 to 12 minutes. I think it looks good. It's not too sticky. We're going to get it off the dough hook. So I'm going to knead it right here on my countertop, on my island. We've kneaded it most of the way in the mixer, but we're going to sprinkle a little bit of the flour on the island, just a little bit. We don't want our hands to get sticky, so we'll put a little pile right there, and it's there if we need it. Now we're going to take our dough and put it on the countertop. It's a beautiful dough. And what we're going to do is we're going to knead it right here on the board for just a minute, just by hand, just to form a ball. This is a great dough. It's not sticky. I'm using just a little bit of flour, and we're just folding it over. That's what kneading is, folding it over and pushing it. So, and turning it. You need a little flour underneath. So fold it over, turn it, fold it over, turn it. And I'm not an expert, but what we're doing is we're trying to form a ball, and it's doing it very good. Again, don't add too much flour. If it gets a little dusty and you don't need it, just wipe it off. And there's our ball. It looks like it's perfect. Now we're going to oil our bowl, and we're just going to put a little bit of oil in there. I'm using avocado oil. It has no taste and no flavor, no flavor, and I think it'll be the best thing to use, but you can use whatever oil you have. And what you're going to do is take this and put the side up, down, press it in the oil just like that, and then turn it around and twirl it around where it'll all be oiled. There you go. Now we're going to let this sit covered up for 1 hour. So I say 1 hour, but it's 1 hour or until it's doubled in size. What I'm going to do is wet a towel, a warm towel, and we're going to place it over the dough. Just a warm, damp towel. I'm going to place it over here on my stove under the light. Now you can set your timer for 1 hour and check it, or you can just watch it and see what it looks like, see if it's doubled in size. So while our dough is doubling in size, we want to go ahead and get our filling out, which is brown sugar, cinnamon, and a stick of butter at room temperature, and mine's been in the refrigerator. I also want to get the items for the icing out, because my cream cheese, I need 1 block of cream cheese. My cream cheese has been in the freezer, so I want it to be thawing out. Again, my butter has been in the refrigerator, so I'll need a stick of butter, powdered sugar, and vanilla flavoring. You just want to get those out and set them aside separately where you'll know this is the filling, that is the icing. Okay, here we go. So it's been an hour. The dough has doubled. I'm getting a 9 by 13 pan. I'm putting parchment paper in it, or you can spray it, however you want to do it. This is a great little tip right here. If it won't lay down, just crumble it and then it'll lay down. Then you don't have to wash the dish. Okay, let's look at our dough. So I took the damp cloth off because it had got cold, and I put this red plastic lid over it and kept it under this light. So here's our dough. It's doubled in size. Remember what it looked like? Very pretty, isn't it? So I am going to sprinkle just a little bit of flour on the island, and then we're going to dump this out. So I don't know how much we'll need, so I'm just going to put a little pile right here on the side for my hands, because we do have oil in it. Let me put y'all down just a little bit further, see if we can make this where you can see it. And the whole point of this, we're going to dump our dough out. Look at that, how pretty. Set this over here, and then we are going to flatten this out. Now you can roll it out if you want to, or you can do like I'm doing. So it is a little oily, and I don't want to add much flour to my dough, but I want to get a 12 by 24 rectangle, and I want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. So I've got a measuring tape here, and this is beautiful dough. It's easy to work with. Get some of this flour out of the way because we don't need it. It doesn't stick to your hands. It's not a sticky dough. That oil does, but the dough doesn't. All right. I just love working with dough. I don't care if it's bread. I don't care what it is. I think it's going to have to be bigger than this, but I'm going to wipe my hands off real quick, and we're going to measure it. So 12, so that right there is about right. And this needs to be, about right there. So I am going to move my dish to about right there. You can also tape your board. A lot of times I do that about right there. So this way is good. This way needs to be longer. So I'm just going to keep flattening it out and push it this way. And again, you can use a rolling pin, and I might end up doing that. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. Let's just get one and see. So I'm just going to roll it. That'll be the easiest way to get it all the way up there. I don't know if I've got my camera in the right place or not. I feel like I'm upside down. Just keep rolling till you get it about to the 24. I'm going to move some of this flour and go this way too. Just don't want all that flour on there. So let's see what that is. That's just about there, and we're still at, we're a little bit more on this, so we need to make this a little bit. I try to do it like it says because I don't want, see when I rolled it out it went wider too, because I don't want it to, I want it to end up like the size that they say in the recipe. And I'll put this recipe in the description box. This is such an easy thing to make. So, let's see if we can get this all even here. And again, you don't have to use measuring tape if you don't want to. That looks about right to me. And that looks about right to me. So you don't have to. It doesn't have to be exact. It's just me. All right. We've got our 12 by 24 here. And it's ready. Okay. So I just wiped my bowl out that I used for the dough. And we're going to do 2.5 tablespoons of cinnamon. Now, there's 2 ways that you can do this. I'm mixing the cinnamon and the brown sugar together. So 1, 2, and I'm just going to guess at a half. Half. And then we're going to do 1 cup of sugar. And this is, let's see, that's a half a cup. So we're doing 1 cup of sugar. So I'm going to do 2 of these because it's a half cup. I'm not exact on that because the more sugar and cinnamon, the better. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can melt your butter. I think it's 6 tablespoons of butter. You can melt it, mix it in here, spread all this out on here. Or you can melt this, brush it onto your dough, and then sprinkle this on. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to melt this. So I've already got this to room temperature because I was thinking I was just going to mix it with that. So this will be fine. I'm just going to stick it in the microwave and melt it. I'm going to chop it up just a little bit. Do 30 seconds to begin with, and then I'm going to just stir this up. This cinnamon and this brown sugar, I'm just going to stir them up with my measuring spoon. Try not to mess up more things than I have to because I don't like to wash dishes. I really don't. But I'm thankful for the dishes I wash because that means I have a family, and I'm blessed to have a family. And I really am blessed to have a family. Just stir that up. And I don't like a bunch of clumps in it. I don't think it matters. But I try to get all those clumps I can out. Let's see if 30 seconds did it. Oh, it did. Now let's see if we can find a brush in here. Yep. Believe it or not, there's a brush. So like I say, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can brush your butter on and then sprinkle this on. Or you can put your melted butter into that and then just spread that on. And to me, this is the easiest. So I'm just going to brush it on. Seems like 6 tablespoons a lot. Maybe not. We'll see. I guess I can just pour it on if it looks like it's too much. The butter is what makes the brown sugar and the cinnamon stick to the dough. And you do want to mash your sugar and cinnamon down into this butter when you put it on. And I'll show you all that. If you have never made cinnamon rolls before, I really encourage you to try. Well, don't try, do it. I mean, Philippians 4:13 says we can do all things through Christ. And when I cook, it's for my family, and I believe that I'm being a blessing to them. And so I believe I can do it. I've made these many times before. All right, now what I'm going to do, I didn't use all that, so I'll pour it on afterwards. But all I'm going to do is just sprinkle this on. Some people say don't get right on the edges. I don't know. I mean, I guess it could come out. I don't really know the reasoning on that. Maybe. I guess I'll find out because I usually do it right to the edge. So, this smells good, I can tell you that. Can y'all see all that? I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm not a good camera person. I'm not a good anything doing with videoing. That's what I need. I need a camera person. I need a dishwasher. I need somebody to clean up my mess. I love the cooking part. That is great. That's fun to me. So tonight we're getting ready for the wedding this weekend, and tonight we are all the girls are going to get our nails done. Boy, mine need it, but it's gonna be fun. I think they're closing down the shop for us. I think that's gonna be fun. Just be fun to be with my family. It's my granddaughter that's getting married, and I'm really excited for her and her fiance. So I am going to go ahead and just pour what I have left over on top of this. That wasn't much. And we do get our hands messy, y'all, because you want to press all this down that you can. And you want to, I like to press it to the edges. Now this recipe makes 12. And if you cut them right, that's what you'll get. It's not like the pancakes. So you want to press all this down. We want it to stick. Let me go wash my hands and we'll come back and roll this up. All right, we're ready to start rolling. Look at me, I'm a mess. I don't know why I didn't put it on my apron. I hadn't lately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this up. You can roll it. I don't like to come in from the sides. I like to come from the front back. If you come this way, you may end up off the island. So I'll show you how I roll it. So it's easy to roll once you get started. Just take all that and my friend Stacy, she makes these every year at Christmas. Now, I don't know what recipe she uses. Hers are more of a maple cinnamon roll, and they are so good. But she makes them every Christmas, and oh, sweet Hunter just looks so forward to them. I make them a lot on holidays, but this is, we're going to eat one this afternoon, and we're going to eat, we're going to freeze the rest, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So just roll this up, and you'll see when you get toward the, I think this is where people say not to put it on the edges. So I like to get it as close to the edge as I can, and then I like to pull this up over my dough, and just, you'll end up pinching it together. That's what I do. And then I like to push my ends in. And that way, if there's any filling that comes out, it's not going to come out that way. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like to put it to the edge. I may be wrong about that. So I'm going to just twirl this toward me to get those edges on the bottom that I sealed, and I'm going to put them on the bottom. And then I'm going to actually measure this because according to the recipe, we're supposed to get 12 out of these, and they need to be 2 inches. And so that is not hardly 24, so I'm going to probably lengthen it just a little bit. I want to get 12 out of these. It's probably because I mashed those ends. So, and you don't have to do what I'm doing. You don't have to be exact, but I just like to get what they say we're going to get. So I really do like to push those ends in. I don't want anything coming out of there. Let's measure it again. That is right at 24 inches. So I'm going to go with that. Now, okay. I thought I might better pull you up here. So I got to find a serrated knife. I'm setting up a little kitchen area in my she shed. And so I put my good serrated knife, I put it out there. So what this is that beautiful brand. It's really cute. Now a lot of people say not to do it with a serrated knife. It doesn't bother me at all. A lot of people do it with the floss. As long as you don't mash it down, and they're going to rise in the oven. So let's cut them. Really trying to go by the rules. So right there is 1 foot, and I want to cut them like that. I don't want to mash them down. All right, so we're going to try to get, let's make sure I was right. Yeah, see, we don't hardly have, man, I hope that makes 12. All right, and then we're going to cut these in half again, and just use your serrated knife and don't mash down on it. We're going to cut this in half. And then we're going to cut, let's see, are we going to cut this in half? We want them 2 inches, so if we do those 4, 8, so we're going to try for 3 on each of these. 3, 6, 9, 12. So let's try for, so let's get that and look how pretty that is. So let's go ahead and put it in the, and I put the end on the downside. And we're wanting these to be about 2 inches. I'm just guessing at that. I think these are bigger. Yeah, they are. And just kind of mash them down. Can you see that? Maybe I'll put it right there. And so we're going to try for 3 out of this. I'm awful close. And I'm trying my best not to mash them, but isn't that pretty? So some people like to put them close together. Some people like to put them separate. It really doesn't matter. They're going to rise some more for a few minutes, and then they'll rise again in the oven. So, you know, you do you. I think they're going to be perfect. You want to get 12 in a 9 by 13 pan. And I don't think we're going to have a problem with that. 1, 2, 3. So you see how easy this is. It's really, really easy to make homemade cinnamon rolls. And I'm telling you, if you like them in the can, you'll love these. So Sweet Hunter hadn't done this in a long time, but used to. He would make them every Sunday morning, but he used the canned, and boy, he thought he was something because he made cinnamon rolls. He also did his own icing. And that was kind of a special treat on Sunday mornings for us because he made them. I'm going to give y'all one more look. Isn't that pretty? Those are so pretty. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover these. I'm going to put them back over here on the back eye. You can see we have biscuits for breakfast. And let me find a towel. We're going to put a towel over the top of these. We're going to set the timer for 30 minutes. We're going to set our oven to 350 and let it be preheating. And I'm going to clean all this mess up, and then we're going to bake them, ice them. These are going to be so good. So right now what we're doing is we're letting them rise in the 9 by 13 pan. The hard part's done, and I'm telling you, making cinnamon rolls is not hard. So let me clean up all this mess, reset my kitchen, and we'll get started on the icing and go ahead and make it. So the oven's preheated. The rolls like just a few minutes to rise. Can't multitask anymore. I've got some frozen yeast rolls out of the freezer, and I'm just going to do 2 of those. And I'm going to butter those, and because our oven is hot, I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven, and I'm going to show you how I fix a freezer meal. This is the fried potatoes and the meatloaf, and after I get these semi-done, about halfway thawed out, semi-done, I'm going to stick them in there now for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to add the fried potatoes and the meatloaf that we cooked on another video for a freezer meal. So I'll be back in just about 5 minutes, and I'll show you how I warm these up. I love to use an iron skillet. So yesterday I laid out, I think it was yesterday or day before, I laid out some meatloaf and a couple of my twice baked potatoes that I'd put in the freezer. Just watch the videos before this and you'll see what we did. But and I laid them out, and then we weren't in the mood for them, and so I gave them to my granddaughter and my grandson, and they took them home. They came to pick up the baby, and they took them home. But here's our fried potatoes and our meatloaf, and so they've been sitting out maybe 15 minutes. These freezer meals are so easy to fix and so easy to warm up. And I've got another bag of these yeast rolls. I'll just add that back into that bag. These yeast rolls have come in handy too. If you want, I'll link this recipe into the description box. I've made these many times on my channel. They're my mom's yeast rolls. And I'm telling you, at Christmas, I think it was, one of my friends contacted me and she said, "Do you have a good roll recipe?" I said, "Do you want a beautiful roll or do you want a delicious roll?" And she said, "Delicious." And I gave her this recipe. It's beautiful too, but you know, you can make those fancy, shiny little dinner rolls that are like dinner rolls, and I make them too. But this is absolutely delicious. If you have not tried the yeast roll, you need to try it. So I just wanted to show you while I'm waiting on the cinnamon rolls to finish rising. Like I said, the oven's already preheated to 350. I wanted to show you how I warm up this meal, and then we'll get busy back on the cinnamon rolls. Okay. These rolls have been in here just a few minutes. The butter's melted, and I'm going to show you how I put together one of my freezer meals. So all I do is take the meatloaf, I just put them beside each other, and then I'm going to just dump the fried potatoes in here. Whoops. These rolls are almost done. So, and then we're just going to put this right in the oven for another 5 to 10 minutes, and it should be done. So by that time, we should have our icing made. Let's do that real quick. Trying to find everything. Our rolls are rising. Our cinnamon rolls are rising, and yes, they are rising more. Y'all want to look at them? How pretty! Aren't they beautiful? So pretty. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine our 8 ounces of cream cheese, and remember I set it out so it's room temperature. I'm just going to use my mixer and mix all this up. If I can get it undone. And so it's 8 ounces of cream, and I dropped it. 8 ounces of cream cheese. I had this in the freezer, so it had to thaw out. So always know that you can freeze your cream cheese. People may tell you that you can't, but you can. So this recipe for the icing, I might have said filling, but it's icing that we're making, calls for 4 tablespoons of butter or 1/4 cup, however you want to say it. I just like to put it all in there. We're going to add 2 cups of powdered sugar. I'm going to have to get some glasses. I had cataract surgery, and I swear I see worse now. This is half a cup measurement, and we're going to use 2 cups of powdered sugar. Make sure this is powdered sugar. Yep, powdered sugar. So we're going to add 4 of these half cups. This is just a really simple way to freeze something for your freezer for breakfast. There's a lot of mornings that, especially me, I don't want to eat a breakfast like eggs and stuff. He likes eggs and stuff like that more than I do. And I would love to have something more like this, something sweet. So let's add, I would guess, a teaspoon of the vanilla flavoring. And then we're just going to beat all that up. And while your rolls are baking, you want all this icing to sit out room temperature. You do not want it to get cold, so don't put it in the refrigerator. Don't think you have to do that. And we're just going to beat that. I'm glad I left my mixer out. And we're just going to beat all that together. So we used 2 cups of powdered sugar. We used 1 block of cream cheese, 8 ounce. We used 4 tablespoons of butter, and then about a teaspoon of vanilla. I might have smidged just a little bit on that and used a little bit more. But anyway, we want this to stay room temperature. So I like to always remind you to beat down the sides because you've got powdered sugar in there. And if your icing is too runny or you think it is, just add a little more powdered sugar. It's good. I already tasted of it. You're going to beat this really, really good and then just push it back and let it sit. Let me check on those little freezer meals. If your rolls get too done, just take them out and you know, warm them back up a minute ahead of time. Mine are just fine so far. I've got the frosting, the icing done. I'm fixing to put my cinnamon rolls in. They've been rising for 30 minutes. My TV dinners are not quite done. And if you're wondering what TV dinners are, they're for our freezer meals. And I split a meatloaf open and it's still just a little bit chilled. I fully cooked those meals though, so they're fully cooked and all you have to do is warm them up. We're going to put these in for about 18 to 20 minutes. Aren't they beautiful? Look how they rose. So I do them for 18 and check them because I want to make sure the centers are done. So I'll get the freezer meals out next, get them ready to serve, and then we'll frost the cinnamon rolls. This is going to be delicious, I promise you. So I think our freezer meals are about done, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and take those out and put them on the plate. Now, the reason I'm showing you this on a cinnamon roll video is because I want to show you what a wonderful freezer meal this was and how you can make it too. So I'll link those videos in the description box where we made that meatloaf. I cut that one in two where I could taste of it and make sure it was good and hot. I fully cooked these, so they're really good. And it's really hot, really hot. So I'm going to fix Sweet Hunter's plate real quick. So you can also serve these in the iron skillet and keep it good and hot. I won't eat but half of that. Meatloaf. He loves fried potatoes. We had fried potatoes the other night, and we just had fried potatoes and cornbread one night, and they were chopped a different way. And the leftovers I just put in here. So there's his supper. Fast food, y'all. Fast food. So there's our icing. It's like ready to put on cinnamon rolls. And I like to do it like that, like pourable. where you can pour them on. You can put these on warm or cool. So I am going to do these room temperature. I'm going to put them on warm because I'm going to serve one. And I think they'll be delicious. If you see that your cinnamon rolls are getting too brown on the top, stop and put a piece of foil on them. And you don't want them too brown on the top, and you want to make sure the centers are done because they're big rolls and they're in a 9 by 13 pan. So that's what I'm going to do now. Let's put this on. I also have hot spots in my oven, so I twirled my pan around because I had the freezer meal out. And Sweet Hunter said this freezer meal is great, and I think it was too. It's something you ought to try. So the timer's going off, and I'm going to see what these look like. So let's just put our hot pads right there. So it's been 18 minutes. How beautiful. So let's see. And you want to make sure that the inside is done. You want to make sure that center is done. So I'm going to let it stay another 2 to 3 minutes in the oven. We just want to make sure that that's completely done in the middle. I know the outer edges are, but we want to make sure it's all done. Okay, let's try this again. They look really good. Got that off. And I'm glad I put that foil on them because they would have been too brown. So what I like to do is I like to let these sit for about 5 minutes. Anytime I get anything out of the oven, I like to let it sit for about 5 minutes and then ice it. It doesn't have to be completely cool because this can be served warm, and that's the way I'm going to serve it right now is warm. So, but it also can be served room temperature. So we're going to let it sit for 5 minutes. All right. Now we're going to pour the frosting on it. Let me see if I can get you down where you can see this. It's going to be so pretty. I'm just going to pour it on and let it land where it wants to. Look at that. And then you can just spread it out over your cinnamon rolls. My goodness, don't that look good? Don't they look delicious? They smell delicious. So I'm going to dip this one out on these plates. Look at these cute little plates. Yard sale fine. Look, they say yum. Let's see if I can get it right. Yum. So cute. So Sweet Hunter's through with his supper, so now I'm going to give him dessert. For some reason, when they're warm and I serve them warm with that icing on them, I like to get the center rolls out and put them on a plate. They are so good. And yes, I am licking my fingers. It's just the two of us, and it is just fine. So good. All right, we've got ours out, and the rest of these are going to cool, and then I'll cut them for the freezer. But another freezer meal. You also can double that recipe and just cut the dough in half because you don't want to work with a 48-inch log. You'll have double the cinnamon rolls to put in the freezer. So, hope y'all enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad we're doing this. It's going to really help us. So I had to leave for a little while, so I just let the cinnamon rolls cool on the counter, but I wanted to show you how I packaged them up. So what I'm doing is I'm individually wrapping them in saran wrap, and then I'm using my same bread bags that I used the other day for our twice baked potatoes, and I'm packaging them for the freezer in the bread bags. So that gives us 8 for the freezer, and I packaged them in the bread bags, and then 2 for breakfast in the morning. So these will be really good. Again, if you double the recipe, you'll get a lot more and a lot more for the freezer. You also could do the flash freezing with this. You could put it on a cookie sheet, separate them out, put them on a cookie sheet, and then wrap them up. But I didn't choose to do that because I was in a hurry. I had to go somewhere, and the way the cookies crumble. So anyway, breakfast, cinnamon rolls. Thank y'all for watching. Y'all go cook something.